Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Photoshop Masterclass course, bringing you from beginner to intermediate. We're going to be jumping over to our project file sample over here, and I want to walk you guys through actually making some shapes and solids. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the basic shapes, which are as simple as possible, and then we're going to explore the custom shapes and walk through how to actually make some of those, maybe even revisit the pen tool. So first off, the absolute basics of shapes is down here, the shape tool creator. You've got, for example, the rectangle tool, which would, if you click and drag, create a rectangle. Alternatively, if you click and hold shift, it will lock the dimensions, which means it will not create a rectangle. It will create a square, just like that. Now, if we click and hold again, we go to the rounded rectangle tool, which again, if we click and hold, this will do a rectangle, just a rounded one with the circles that are rounded. Also, if we click and hold shift, this will lock the dimensions and create a rounded circle of a square. So more or less, if you want just free dimensions, you click and do whatever. If you want to lock the dimensions, you are going to hold shift. And just like that, that is lock of the dimensions. Same thing with the ellipse tool. If we get the ellipse tool, we can draw it out just like that. But also, if we click at the top and hold shift, we can draw a perfect circle. So pretty much the shapes respond to shift being the button that locks, again, that locks the proportions. And also you've got the Polygon Tool, which is something that personally I really don't use often, like at all, just because it's just kind of a random shape. Incorporating the polygon is something that, by all means, I can't wait to see what you guys do with it, but I don't really use the Polygon tool too much. You've also got the line tool. The line tool, you could change the the stroke, the fill, whatever the case may be, and you can adjust it as you see fit, just like that. And at the end of the day, that right there is your basic shapes. I'm going to go ahead and say that again, your basic shapes, because your shapes are something that are being used from time to time, but honestly, it's something that you're incorporating with other stuff if you're using the basic shapes. Clear my voice. So what I mean is, if you're using the basic shapes, is a lot of the time, if you're really reaching for a shape, sometimes you'll be making something that is, just an addition to something else. So for example, one of the most common uses for the actual rectangle tool is if we go ahead and delete everything but the rectangle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control T to resize it, is a lot of the time you'll see a rectangle used as maybe like a text banner, something to support some text. So for example, let's make some text and let's say, title number 1. Highlight it, press Control A, and actually go ahead and make it some white text, right? A lot of the time, in maybe some corporate banners or whatever the case may be, you'll see an effect like this done where you've got, a black outline or like some sort of outline, and then you've got a title in the actual outline, and just like that, maybe you'll have two titles, one there, one above or something like that, like a main title and a supporting title, and then maybe you've got, your maybe it's down there saying something, you've got an image up here or whatever. But a lot of the time when I'm using shapes in here, I'm using it to kind of complement stuff, maybe make a more advanced title. And the reason I'm saying that is because at the end of the day, if you guys are a brand new Photoshop user, sometimes you could be overwhelmed by all this stuff to do. And I sort of think it's my responsibility to tell you guys not only how to do stuff, but also how often I, as a Photoshop user, a daily Photoshop user damn near for years and years, how often am I really utilizing this stuff? So shapes, oftentimes I'll be utilizing for something like this, but if I'm actually going for maybe a more legit custom shape, you can do that with the pen tool. So let's actually visit that real quick. You go to the pen tool and you can literally just, I'm sure you figured it out, but you could just draw a custom shape if you wanted to. So if we actually make a new layer and, for example, make a point right there, hold shift to lock the dimensions, make a point there, drag it over here, drag it down right there, probably bring this in between right about there, maybe bring this right about here. You can see how quick I'm doing this, right? And what I'm doing is I'm quickly sketching out a custom shape, an arrow. Just like that, I've built this shape of an arrow, which I've just, you've seen me do it in literally 3 seconds right there. And we can actually right-click in the middle and go to Make Selection. Go ahead and press OK. And we could actually go ahead and use either the Paint Bucket tool to click in the middle and it would do that. Or we could, press Control Z, use the brush tool and literally just paint it in ourselves. Like, get a nice big brush. Boom, paint it in, and just like that, we, have created a custom shape. And because we've made it on a different layer, we actually have complete control over it. We can hold shift right here, adjust the different dimensions of it, hold hold control or whatever, adjust the perspective of it, whatever, right? It's a fully customizable shape. And as you see, we can actually kind of create something cool here where the arrow is pointing at the title, right? So just like that, that right there is shapes and solids. Walking through the absolute basics with the, the shape creation section down here, and also the advanced creation of shapes with the pen tool, aka a good old-fashioned mask. We're going to keep cracking, and we're actually going to end up this section in the episode coming up next. See you guys there.